Hello my lovely crafty people, and welcome back to part 3 of my Flip Flap Folio using the lovely Be Happy Stationery Love is in the Air kit. You can see I've used quite a few of the pieces, and we're going to carry on using the journal cards. I've printed off some more of the sheets, but to start with I'm going to use this lovely clock image and just a quick flick through. So this is what we created in the last video. I do have more of a plan today, so hopefully the video won't be quite as long and we'll get cracking. So I have this bridge pocket that we created using some of the lovely double-sided paper I had, and it's quite a wide pocket area to cover, so I thought I'd use this lovely image that's got the clock on it to pop in the middle of this page. I didn't really want to split the page into two parts of decoration. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use the doily, whether I'm going to use some more of this pink paper on to create kind of a cluster collage effect. But for now, I'm just going to tear round the image, just creating that torn edge that we've got throughout the folio project. Just keeping the continuity going, and then I will distress the edges using my brown ink, and then let's see where we go with that. So just whipping round. It's not as easy as it was to just tear the sheet, because it's stuck onto the book page as well, which just gives it that little bit of sturdiness. I could have just stuck this straight down, but I wanted to stick it onto the book page as well, because using the PVA glue changes the colour of the print, I've found. So by sticking it onto the book page, if I'm going to use PVA, it's not going to change the colour of the print. I do have that issue coming up a little bit later, but I rectified it using some of this ink. So, do I use this lovely doily? Not sure. So the image itself very much fits the page perfectly. I think if I had the doily, it would be too much. So we're going to use some more of this lovely shiny shimmery chiffon. Shiny shimmery chiffon. Say that quickly 10 times. Shiny shimmery chiffon. No. So we're just going to distress it up using my stabby pokey thing, and then we'll stick that onto the page. So here we go. Today I'm going to go a little bit more careful, keep my fingers out of the way. I don't really need any more stab wounds. I do love a doily, and I looked online at buying some doilies. My word, they're expensive. But I found a pack in the range that's got 3 different colours, 3 different sizes, not colours, and you get 50 doilies for £1.29, I think it was. It might be £1.49. But what I'm going to do is either ink them up to change the colours or use some coffee or tea to stain them. So just placing that in the middle. I quite like using the shimmery shiny chiffon. So just add in a little bit of PVA just to stick that down, and then I'm going to add some PVA to the back of this clock. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, that's cold. This cold is lingering. I think it's a summer cold. I do take antihistamine, so I don't think it's hay fever. So just leaving that to weight down, and I'm just going to have a look at this photo. So I don't want the pink edge on it for this one, and I'm going to use this to go in the middle of the image. And I've just flash shown you my snippet roll. That's what I use all my little scraps for. So I have a drawer under my desk that I just put all my scraps in, and I pull them out to stick on that snippet roll every now and then. It's a great little 5-minute activity. So just choosing some backgrounds just to make the photo stand out a little. I'm not going to go back round the whole way round. I'm just going to add a few accents to just make the photo pop. So far we've got, who have we got? We've got Daisy on the front of the folio. We've got Gladys. Did we have Gladys? No, Beryl on the inside. So let's call this one Grace. Let's have Grace. So we'll have Grace on the inside, right in the middle of the Flip Flap Folio. Flip Flap Folio. Shimmery, shiny chiffon. Oh, there you go. Just stick in some of the snippet bits that I've torn up just to give that a little bit of emphasis and make the photo pop a little bit more. So going back in, you can see by popping her at an angle in the middle, I'm going to have a little bit of the clock showing and the kind of the top of the clock clasp showing at the top. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. So just sticking that down, and then that is the middle done. I've left some space at the top. We can add some sentiment there later. Yeah, there we go. So moving on to the double page spread. So last time we added a tuck spot using a piece of the Be Happy stationery. We've added a belly band. So for this one, I'm going to use this lovely lamppost and the rose. I really love a good rose collage, a good rose image. I do have a rose book, but for this, I'm going to use these sheets from the Be Happy Stationery Love is in the Air kit. In case I haven't said, there will be a discount link in my description box that will give you 30% off this kit and any others that you fancy. So check out the Ko-fi, click on the link that's in the description below and check out Be Happy's lovely kits. I am going to have a go at making some of my own kits, so stay tuned, keep an eye out for those as well. Yeah. So just tearing round the book page like we did on the very first triple page flap thing. Just going to ink that up a bit and then place that down onto the page, creating a pocket with it. I haven't snipped off both ends yet because when I stick it in, I want to make sure I've got the length of the pocket correct. So just going to snip across the top because we know that one's going to be there. And then get that stuck in. Going right flush with the edge so that you can see the background paper, but you've also got this lovely image. And then I'll just stick that down, flip it over and cut off the excess. The back page is looking a little bit scruffy, a little bit messy, but don't panic. I've got a plan for that, and that's coming later at the end of the video. So just popping in a bit of my plastic sheet in just to make sure it doesn't completely stick. And let's go to one of the other sides. So we've got the pockets in the middle. Let's do these. So I'm going to create the pockets in the middle again using those mini envelopes. But I want to, rather than have a cluster on this top flap, I'm going to use the other rows from this sheet of paper. And I'm just going to pop that over the top flap so you can still see a little bit of the dotty paper, but also it carries the rose theme across. So just thinking about where to place it, and I quite like there. So again, just backing that onto the book page. It's quite handy that this book was actually a really large book because I do use these pages a lot. I like the fact they're already vintagey and they've already got that kind of vintage aged look about them. The book itself was falling apart when I picked it up, and now it really has fallen apart because quite a lot of the pages have come out. It was a complete Bronte works, and yeah, they're great pages. So just going to stick that onto there. After I've distressed the edges using the ink. And I'm going to use a bit of my plastic underneath, so then I can just glue the whole thing and not worry too much about it sticking things together. But it just means then I can stick it right the way in and make sure it is completely glued down to the flap. So we've got a pocket there, we've got that flap, we've got the folio pocket, and we've got the other side to do, which we're going to have a belly band on. So using the Eiffel Tower sheet, one of the Eiffel Tower sheets, just drawing round the page to make sure I get it to the rough side, cutting it out. I'm going to leave this torn edge on the other triple page in my second video. I did cut it to size, but actually I quite like the idea of having this torn edge carrying over to underneath the flaps. So we're just going to do that as well. So just tearing it a little bit further in, just giving it that real torn edge, which carries over the kind of the shape from the lamppost torn. And then we'll just tear that down and in a bit so that it fits under that flap, and then we'll tear the bottom of it as well. So just sticking it all down, covering the majority of that page. So this isn't a tuck spot, this isn't a pocket, this is literally just using the paper as like a backing paper, covering some of the background, and then I'm just going to trim off the excess. Oh, it amazes me, like you draw around something and you think, oh great, that'd be the right size. It never is. Maybe because you draw around it and it creates that little bit of excess, but hey ho. And then I'm just going to ink that up. Making sure that it carries over that distress theme by inking it all up. Probably should have inked the inside bit up before I stuck it down, but hey ho, that's okay. So I am going to use this strip that we looked at using to create the belly band on the last one, and I just want to use a piece of lace to go behind it. So that it's quite a chunky one. The first one I picked was too narrow, so I have got this really bright pink, and it is very bubblegum pink, but don't worry, I am going to dull it down a bit using the distress ink, so it will just create it kind of into a almost dusky, that rose dusky pink that we've been using throughout. And then if I use my double-sided tape on this, when I then stuck it to the sheet, it will end up sticking to the backing. So I am going to put some PVA glue down it, stick the lace on, and then I'm going to use one of my plastic sheets over the top just to leave it to dry, so that one, it's sturdy, and two, it's not going to stick to whatever I'm tucking into the belly band. So just move that up and weight it down, and we will come back to that right near the end of the video, I think it is. So let's create those pockets. So I am going to use two of the envelopes today, and on one of them I'm going to create a bit of a cluster using this lovely image from the collage image sheet. Those lovely lined paper writing, I am going to cut those out, and I will use those and pop them in a pocket because they're really nice kind of like letter writing paper. So they will go in one of the pockets I've created, or even under the belly band. And I'm not filling all the pockets while we're on the video today. That will be up to, if you're making along with me, You can fill the pockets with your own ephemera, or I will just, as I find bits and bobs that I like, I will just add them in. So I'm just ripping off a few bits of the corresponding, some of the papers I've used throughout this, and some of the coordinating pattern papers, and just created a little mini cluster using this lovely little image. And then I've got somewhere, there it is, I've got a little piece of the the little piece of the shiny chiffon, and just gluing those to the back of the image. So just giving them a little squidge of glue, and then I'm just going to weight it down to dry. I might end up having to put some PVA glue onto the front image because it's stuck onto the fabric. So just like before, I've drawn round a rough shape of the cluster, and it will just create a little pocket then that it's almost like a tuck spot pocket. So I want something slightly larger, taller to go behind that, that I'm going to use as a pocket as well. So I do like that stamp image. Where can I use that? But we haven't used any of these ladies in this doubles page. So let's use this one. I'm just trimming it slightly thinner, so we've still got the pink, lovely pink border. Just snip the corners, and then I'm going to ink it up. And then using this lovely photo, we're going to create a pocket behind her. So I'm just going to snip the top off and use some of the doily. There you go. I don't really want the doily too stuck out at the top, because otherwise you end up trying to tuck things into the pocket behind it. So just tear it a little bit like that. Stick her on. And then we're going to stick her in under the flaps and along with the cluster tuck spot pocket thing that we did. So I'm just going to pop a piece of paper in there. It's just a piece of scrap paper off the kits that I've been using, and yeah, see, I do need to just pop a little bit of the PVA on there just to keep that stuck. So taking it back to the folio, we're just going to add in the two pockets. We're going to pop her at a slight angle, and I just want to leave a little bit of the room at the top so you can pop some ephemera in there. And then just pop the little cluster tuck spot pocket down, and 2 down. Done. Right, let's move on. Got one more pocket to do at the front of this flap, and if you remember, we used some of this really cute little collage papers from a kit I had, and we're just going to create a pocket out of that, and it kind of fits with the Love is in the Air thing because it's got the music paper, it's got the rose, and it just adds another element. It's got the black print, like the Eiffel Tower and the lamppost. So just inking the edges. I'm just going to add that half circle, which helps you be able to get things in and out of the pocket. And then I'm just gluing around the edges, bottom, side and side, and then I'm just going to stick that onto the front flap. I was going to stick the plastic in, but it's too wide, so just going to make sure it's all stuck down. that's not quite dry yet, so we'll leave it a little bit longer just to dry. Just tear off that little bit of excess. Okay, so that's all stuck down. You can see where the pockets are. I've stuck the pocket onto the front of the flip flaps. So let's move on. I'm just going to pop that little bit of plastic in to this folio pocket. So just like on the other folio pocket, I would like to create almost like a little secret pocket again. So I'm using this peony image and I'm just going to tear around it, stick it onto the book page, and then just pop that in the bottom corner to create a little bit of a secret pocket again. Keeping in theme with the love is in the air and writing letters to your lost love and all those things that kind of follow the theme. I am keeping an eye out for little letters and stuff when I go round that I can use, scan in, print off, and then I've got some lovely letters that I can use as ephemera. I know there's lots of printables out there. The Graphics Fairy is wonderful with her printables that you can print. So if needs be, I will have a look on her website and download and print some of her images that I might be able to use to stuff these pockets. But yes, it'd be nice actually to have kind of original letters and things, and they do pop up every now and then, so I've just got to be patient, keep an eye out, and then as I find things that I like, I'll stuff the pockets. As I mentioned in the very first video, this will be the giveaway when I reach 100 subscribers. So when I get to 100 subscribers, I'll do a video and I'll notify everyone that that video's there, and you'll have a little thing to do to be in the competition, and then I will post this out to whoever wins, and hopefully I'll have stuffed the pockets by the time it comes out to you. So it's quite a nice little journaling thing to use. And I will keep this to one side, as I say, to be my prize for my 100 subscribers. So if you do already subscribe to me and you're in any of the crafty groups, please like, follow, share, hit the subscribe bell, tell your crafty friends about it. Let's grow my channel and get me to 100, which would be really nice. So I'm just adding a little focal point to the rose on the lamppost. Just using that stamp that I used at the beginning as well, and some of my lovely little paper flowers with the jute ribbon. So just inking up the edge, and I do need to put quite a bit of ink because where I've used the pinking shears, you have still got some of the white paper shining through. So just using the last little bit of this shiny chiffon, just going to add like a strip of it behind. The other thing I use behind images is thread, and that's quite nice to use as well because, again, just adds that level of texture. So just grouping 3 of these flowers together. Just going to add a little bit of glue for them, stick them down, tiny little blob of glue on the top, and I'm going to stick the bow down. Just hold it down for a second, just a little bit of glue behind each of the flowers, just so they stay in place. And then pop that to one side. Right, has my belly band dried? It has. So it's dried enough that we can use it now and start sticking it down. So I'm going to use double-sided tape just at the top and the bottom to stick this down. It is a really good way of just sticking something without messy glue. And I'm going to stick it right to the edge of this page so that you can tuck really from the inside out. So it's still a tiny bit wet, so I have put the plastic underneath it. And I'm going to use some of my glitter washi tape and those paper flowers that I used on the other page, one of the other folio pages, I used my little paper flowers. Let's see. Yes, so I used a small dark and a large light. So this time I'm going to go small light and a larger dark flower. Just checking I've only got one. I wonder how many times I've actually stuck more than one down together. It's just blubber glue. Blubber glue. And then I realised I was adding a little bit of collage fodder behind it, so bear with. Also grabbing out some neutral little buttons, so that's quite a nice cute neutral pearly one. And yeah, see there, I remember. Add a little bit of collage fodder, just stick it down. And then I'm going to use my Yoo-Hoo. Sticks the buttons better than any of the other glues, really. It's just a stronger glue. So stick that down, stick that down. Stay. Stay. Okay, I'm just going to leave that to dry for a minute. So here we are back with all of the pockets are made. They're not stuffed. As I said, I will stuff them before I send this out as a prize. I will go through my ephemera and find other things. Just using one of my little lovely heart paper clips just to create that secret pocket. You got the flippity flaps. And just add a paper clip or two to this belly band. I might make one of my lovely paper strip birds using a piece of the leftover papers. So I'm going to tie a ribbon to keep this all together. I don't really want it across Daisy's face, so it's actually going to be lower, but I wanted to tie it on so that I know where to stick the ribbon. So I'm just using masking tape to stick it in place. I'm going to undo the ribbon and then open it back out, and then we're going to cover that back with this piece of Be Happy. So just cutting it to size, drawing round the outside, and then I'm going to cut that to size. And we'll use this to cover the ribbon and the back of the little Flip Flap Folio. And just finish using the Be Happy stationery, continuing the theme all the way through. So just distress around the outside, So as I said, do share with your friends, tell people about the channel. If you go to Ko-fi, use the link below. That will give you 30% off the kits. Think about joining the Junk Journal Community Chat UK group. It's Sandra hosts the group, and it's a really lovely, helpful group to support each other. There's Happy Mail, there's bingo, there's all sorts going on in that group. So have a think about joining that. The other really useful group I'm in is Junk Journal Fairies UK, which is another really supportive group and really kind of just lovely places to be, lovely places to share your ideas, ask questions, both groups, and yeah, just share your love of journaling. Okay, so tie that up. Thanks for watching, and we are done.